Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for your weekly wrap-up, and we're in that break between Christmas and New Year, so things are a little hectic on the family front, so I haven't been able to get a lot of videos done, but I did accomplish a couple of things this week. The first thing we looked at was the Logitech K400 Plus wireless trackpad and integrated keyboard. A really nice little product for $20, a really good deal. You can check out the review above in my master playlist along with everything else I'll be talking about. We also looked at a new tablet from Lenovo, an Android tablet with an Intel processor and a projector built in, so you could actually project what's on the screen onto a wall or projection screen or something like that. We looked at a home theater in a box from Philips, which was a very easy turnkey solution for getting a true 5.1 channel system hooked up for your Blu-ray movies or game console or something like that. Doesn't sound the best, but it was very, very easy to set up, so definitely worth checking that out. And I did a retro review. I always do a retro review around the holiday season. You feel nostalgic for your youth apparently around this time of year. So I talked about bulletin board systems, or BBSs. Those are things that I accessed quite a bit between the 80s and 90s, right up until the time the internet became commercialized and accessible. And what these were really the precursor for social media. And I talked a lot about what these were in the video, so take a look above. But in that video, I talked about a BBS that I've been running actually for the last 4 or 5 years, kind of under the radar. It's been off the grid in the sense that I can only access it locally from my internal network here, but I did leave it on some of the BBS networks that are still existing out there. And what I decided to do over the weekend, after I saw a really good amount of feedback, positive feedback from the retro review, is I took that BBS, moved it over to a new computer. It's actually running now on a Lenovo PC on a stick. And I have it now set up and accessible to the world. So you now can access it, and we can maybe set up a little BBS for the channel. And if we get enough people interested in communicating that way, I'll leave it up for the foreseeable future. So right now I plan to keep it up for about 2 months or so, and if there's enough interest in it, I'll keep it up in perpetuity. It's not hard to maintain, but it is another thing I have to check on every once in a while. So if I don't have a lot of interest in it, I'm going to have it kind of come back in behind the firewall again. So this is how you get to it. There's 2 ways actually. The best way is to use a program called SyncTerm, and this works across multiple platforms. And if you do get SyncTerm set up, this is how you want to configure it. So matrixreturns.dyingdns.org, port number 6402, and you're going to connect via Telnet. If you don't want to set up SyncTerm and just want to get in quickly, you can go over to Lon.TV/BBS, and I have an embedded Telnet client on my website here. This is not the ideal way to access it just because it's on a website and it just doesn't feel as nice as SyncTerm does, but you get the same gist of it. Now, I've already covered what a BBS is in that review that I did, so you can check out that video and get a sense as to all the things that you can do on a BBS, but I want to talk about 2 things that I didn't really cover in detail that I think would be really cool for us as a community to do. So the first thing to check out is the chat section by typing C on your keyboard and then hitting J to join or initiate the multi-node chat. And this system actually supports multiple people being on at the same time. It was something my original BBS that I ran back when I was a teenager could not do because I only had one phone line. This one is a little bit more flexible. So this will be kind of like a chat room that should be up and running most of the time. If you are in by yourself, the guru will be there. He is a robot who will reply to you with crazy 90s text here, as you can see. So you can talk to him, and then if I'm in there or somebody else is, you'll see us in there and you can chat with us as well. You can also see when you're on the BBS system who's on by typing /L, and that will list all the nodes and who is on and where they are, so you can find people and talk to them that way. I covered the message boards and some of the other stuff in my retro review, so you can check that out. The other thing I'd really like people to try is Trade Wars, and that is a multiplayer game that I used to play quite a bit, and it's still out there actually. In fact, the company that made it is still in operation and still selling licenses. And you get there by hitting the X key and going over to number 5, which is Trade Wars 2002. You do have to hit a key to log into it. I'm running the more modern version of it, but it still looks the same as it did 25 years ago. We'll hit A to join the first game that we have available, and now you can see it loading up here, and hit T again. There's a lot of steps involved with getting into the game here, but this is basically an online space trading game where you have a spaceship, and you get a planet and a spaceship when you first start the game. You can bring colonists to your planet to mine resources, which you can then put onto your spaceship and then sell at ports around the universe. There's about 1,000 or 2,000 sectors that you can visit with your spaceship. And right now I'm the only guy in the game, so chances are you're not even going to see me or run into me, but eventually you'll start bumping into other players, and as you grow more powerful and your ship gets more powerful, more interesting things happen. For a text-based game, it is remarkably deep in its amount of detail that it can go into, so it's a lot of fun. Definitely worth checking out, especially if you like this kind of thing. And again, it's nothing to be really all that excited about from a graphical standpoint, but you can see what it looks like here. So I'm right now in Sector 1, and we've got Captain Wilson here, who's one of the computer players with his 45,000 fighters. If you become more powerful, you could actually take on the Federation and grow even more powerful. Unfortunately, right now, I would get destroyed in a heartbeat here, but I can move to other sectors. So if I wanted to go to Sector 15 or 14 here as an example, I can hit yes, and you run into things along the way. So there's a port here. I can go in and trade at the port here and see what they have for sale. Right now I've got a bunch of colonists on my spaceship, so I can't put anything else in there. But you kind of get the idea as to what this is about. You can actually spend a lot of time playing this. Now, unlike the rest of the BBS, Trade Wars only allows one person in at a time. So what will happen is that if somebody is playing the game, it's going to tell you you just can't get in. But if there's enough interest, I'll buy a few more licenses, and maybe we'll have some more multiplayer access to that as well. So definitely something to check out. I think it's really cool and really fun, maybe to see if we can get a little community going from the channel on this BBS system, because it is a neat old school way to meet up and communicate. And because I have an embed now on a web page, it is really simple to do. So this week I've got a bunch of stuff that I want to get to. Hopefully we'll get to all of it, or if not, we'll be stretching it out over the next 2 weeks or so. But I have a new gaming laptop from Lenovo that came in, which we'll be checking out. I'll be looking at Grand Theft Auto 5 on there, as well as some benchmarks from 3D Mark. I'm really reluctant to do a bunch of here's how this game plays on this laptop kind of stuff. I'd really like to look more at benchmarks overall. So if you have things you'd like for me to run on it from a benchmarking perspective, let me know in the comments below. My plan was to do a couple of the 3D Mark benchmarks and Grand Theft Auto 5, as well as kind of covering the hardware on it also, just give you an idea as to exactly what it's like. It's pretty big, actually, so I will be looking at that. Silicon Dust, the makers of the HD Home Run, have moved forward with their DVR project. It is still in beta. It's not done yet, but there's a Windows client now, and it looks pretty cool. So we're going to be looking at it probably on one of our mini PCs to see how that all comes together, maybe with the Kangaroo or maybe with another stick PC that I might have coming in very shortly too. So be on the lookout for that when I get to it. And I've got a whole bunch of other stuff, a new router from Asus, a wireless microphone system from Sennheiser. It just keeps coming in, and I keep reviewing it. So hopefully I'll get to all of it this week. But if not, I hope to at least get those two things done, and we'll see what else happens over the course of the week. If you want to help the channel, you can. You can go to Lon.TV/Patreon and make a monthly contribution to the channel. I've talked a lot about what those funds do. It really helps me buy the things that I review on the channel and then resell, because I always take a loss on those things. So definitely check it out if you're able to. That's great. We also have a one-time contribution mechanism at Lon.TV. So if you just want to make a one-time contribution, you can head over there and use YouTube fan funding to do that. Any help you can provide is appreciated, but as always, your viewership and your feedback is the most important thing. You can connect with the channel at Lon.TV/email to get on my email list. We've got a Facebook page at Lon.TV/Facebook. I am very close to the 1,000 like mark, so if you can, like it if you haven't yet, please do, because I think I can do things that I can't do now if I get to 1,000, one of them being live streaming from my phone, which might be kind of fun to pop on every once in a while and do that. We also have the forums at Lon.TV/forums and the beta of the BBS at Lon.TV/BBS too, if you want to check out communicating the old-fashioned way, the way I used to as a kid. So that'll do it for this week's weekly wrap-up. Lots of stuff to come in the next couple of days, and as always, your feedback is valued and appreciated, so definitely leave some down below. This is Lon.TV, thanks for watching. This channel is brought to you by the generosity of my Patreon supporters. If you find the channel helpful, you too can contribute for as little as $1 a month. Visit Lon.TV/Patreon to learn more.